brought to you by Flash Food, an ongoing series where we talk to some of the brightest folks who have dedicated their careers to changing the health of our planet, human beings, and the ability to build and sustain healthy communities. I'm your host, Jordan. I've got an incredible individual here today, someone that is very near and dear to Flash Food's heart with work that we've done together, but also incredible work in her career. We've got Robbie Kingsmill Stuart. She is the founder of Kids Worldwide, a New York apparel brand focused on supporting, nurturing, and empowering the goal of using fashion as a vehicle to combat poverty and education inequality in the local communities in NYC, just in NYC, or beyond New York, I think. The world. Right?
Yeah, in New York, but also expanding into different markets as well. Our goal is to be everywhere, worldwide.
Kids Worldwide.
It's worldwide, exactly.
Out of New York. Well, thank you, Robbie, for coming today. I just want to start with, tell the folks, what's been your journey in founding Kids Worldwide? How did it come to be? You've worked for some of the top fashion brands in the world. You currently are working with some of the coolest fashion brands in New York. Like, what is Kids Worldwide to you?
Yes, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's so amazing to be here. I absolutely love Flash Food and everything that you guys are doing. So I'm very honored to be on this podcast today. Kids Worldwide. So I'll try and make it as short as possible, but I have worked in the fashion industry for the last 15 years here in New York. When I came to New York in roughly 2011 or 2012, I got introduced to a charity, an amazing charity that Flash Food has come to, called the River Fund. They are a charity based in Queens, New York, and they started as a food pantry, and now it's evolved into everything that kind of helps people combat living in poverty. So they handle like domestic violence, immigration services. They have a cradle to college program. They have a tutoring program, mentoring, resume building, anything to kind of help support people living in poverty and get them on their feet. And really their goal is how to break the cycle of poverty. And I got involved in 2012 during Hurricane Sandy from a fellow Canadian friend that was like, you got to check out this charity. It's all run out of the founder Swami's house in Queens. And it just has such a personal, familial vibe. And I was just instantly hooked. I mean, one, to be able to see like in your own backyard, just the level of poverty that exists here in New York. And like people are lined up starting at 4 a.m, blocks and blocks and blocks of people that rely on the River Fund to feed their families for the week. And I just fell in love with the place. And my husband and I would just start volunteering. We would work in the pantry line. We would hand out food. And I would go every month, once a month, just to hand out food. And then fast forward to 2018, I was like, what if I started some sort of art programming or educational programming out of the River Fund for the kids? Because what I noticed is families come to the line. Obviously, the parents don't have the ability to get a nanny or childcare of any sort. So they are bringing their kids in the pouring rain and the freezing cold to get food for the week. So I was like, what if some of the families could drop off their kids with us and we could do educational programming? And at that time, I was just like, this is just an idea. Let me test it out. And I just like tapped friends. Like I led a bunch of workshops, still do, but I also was like, I have a friend who's an astrophysicist who works at Harvard. And I was like, could you come and lead a workshop on space?
Yeah.
And he came and led a workshop on space. And then I have a friend is a child psychiatrist. She was at Mount Sinai at the time, and she came and led a workshop on emotions and how to effectively handle emotions. So I just started with like my network, and the whole intention of it really started much before we launched the clothing piece. Was a safe and supportive place for kids to go to where they could learn and where we could provide them with opportunities and access to different experiences and different people, to really like widen their network and widen their possibilities. And so that's where Kids Worldwide is really rooted, is in our programming, and supporting the youth in whatever way we can. And then 2 years later, so I was like, we should take the artwork from these workshops and we should put them onto clothes, and we should give, actually when we launched, we gave 100% of the profits directly to the River Fund. And then it did really well, and we were like, we're onto something here. Let's create biannual collections and have 10% of the net profits go back to the River Fund. We really work with the River Fund very closely. Their slogan is take poverty personally, and they really are true to that. And because we have adopted that approach, and we really look at like what each kid's needs are. Like even before a workshop, we'll make sure that we're bringing the right kids in who are going to be interested in the topic that we're leading. And then also down to the donation. We're not just giving like a check to the River Fund. We're assessing like which kids were involved, what are the needs of each kid. So like one kid, some of the money that was donated, we got them a new computer. Yeah. One kid, we got music equipment. One kid, we paid for their rent for that month because that's what was needed at that time. But yeah, that's kind of my long-winded answer on how I started.
Yeah. How many like kids is in the community are you serving at any given time or any given year?
I mean, that's a really great question. We do monthly workshops, usually the second Saturday of every month, and we work with between 10 and 15 kids. I've been doing this since 2018, so I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of kids throughout the course of from 2018 until now. I started working with some kids that were like 13 and now they're in university. Like one of the kids that we worked with, we watched go from like a 13-year-old and now he's at Boston College. So it's been really cool to just see like them grow up and also them be able to really break out of the cycle of poverty and get a really amazing scholarship to an amazing university.
In the course of like an entire program, it's thousands of kids. Also, you're building consistent programming over the period of 12 months. You're creating sort of ritual and routine out of something that isn't like the ritual and routine is not exalted, you know, like it's not a great sense or feeling. It's not great to be in the rain. It's not a good use of any kid's time, any family's time. I think it's really impactful because each of those, like, they become, you know, their own seed, their own tree. They find them, like it's really cool. So I don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and it's my total like life passion to be able to touch as many kids as possible. Like this past weekend, we did a Women's Day panel, and we brought a bunch of youth from the River Fund to the panel, and it was just so cool to see them and just like ask questions and really feel like supported as a female, like entering into teenagehood or adulthood. So each workshop, I always am just thinking about, okay, what's the value that the kids are going to get after they leave today? And if there is value to them, then I've done my job correctly.
Yeah. You've worked in fashion for a while. I've worked in like sort of the next is like tech, climate, food, all of that. Like for you is sustainability, and I'm leading the question because I'm like, I bet you it is. But sustainability is like there's a side of the sort of materials and the sourcing, and we buy vintage, we buy reused, but is sustainability also community? Like I think so much of what you're doing is almost like the framing of what you would call true sustainability, where it's not, did I make the right negotiation for the cotton? It's, did the impact of what I'm creating have greater intention than just it was made fast and thrown out? Like, is that like,
yeah,
is that like the right framing of sustainability in the way that you've just extended into communities so meaningfully?
Yeah, exactly. You were saying that, like the word intention. That's really why I started Kids Worldwide, was not just to create clothes. It was really to be able to have it be a vehicle to support the wider community and support our mission. And I think for me, it's about being really intentional with what we create and making sure that it is going to have that impact that we desire. Obviously, like, sustainability is a word that's thrown out all of the time, and really no brand, nobody who's making anything is technically truly sustainable. But I think for us, it's like, what is the impact that we're making? How is this affecting the community and the kids that we work with? And then also, we are very, very mindful. Like, we make very few units. We're not buying a ton. We work with like really, really great factories that are making really good quality stuff. Everything is like organic, recycled cotton, but more so it's about the story and it's about the impact and it's about how the clothes is icing on the cake to provide money into the river fund and into the community and how we can benefit the youth that we're working with.
Yeah, I think what you hit on in some ways is like extremely pioneering for how a brand can view sustainability, right? There's the reductive way that it gets viewed. Call it the standardized way, which is like, where did your materials come from? How are your factories? That is almost the base state of like how you should operate, but in the truest form, clothing as a vehicle to do something more is far more sustainable. Like when you told the story of the 13-year-old who you knew for many years who's going to Boston College, like that's sustainable. That's changing and breaking the cycles. I think that's really cool. It's sort of, I'm having like a clear thought on like what sustainable, like how you would really define like true sustainability, especially in this day and age. And
yeah,
nobody's wholly sustainable because the process is like, it's so messy from like how
totally,
like how like it's so hard to control all the inputs.
Yeah, for sure. Throughout my career of working with fashion brands, I had amazing, incredibly valuable experiences at each and every one of my jobs. But the biggest thing that I kept coming back to was like, how can I make a brand that really, really, truly has an impact? I am on the ground. I'm bringing them experiences, opportunities, and all of that. And I think that's the thing that I was like really searching for when starting Kids Worldwide is like, how can I really make an impact in people's lives and make clothing? The other thing was like making well-made clothing that also made people like ignited feelings. And I think, throughout our customers, people will reach out to us and be like, Kids Worldwide makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel joyful because it does have that kid-like feel to it because it's using kids' artwork and all of that.
What do you think that the fashion industry is just getting wrong? Like if you were to just say it like in a simplest way.
We're in the age of, especially here in New York, of mass overconsumption. It's like the center of capitalism. And I think that there are a lot of brands that just are creating just to create with no real intention. I encourage anyone who is starting a brand or who's at a brand to really think about the storytelling and the community and the engagement, whether that be educational or helping people, or really stay true to whatever the long-term mission is and not just be frivolous. And obviously the biggest culprits for that are fast fashion because, in a lot of ways, like all of those fashion brands, like they're just copying smaller brands and then releasing it even faster. And it's a dangerous game of like just, producing way more than what we need. Like, even if it's like, because it's really well constructed and like it will last forever in your closet. That's a good answer too, but don't just make things just to make things.
Talk to me a little bit about how brands like Flash Food and other brands can help you build your community. I got a lot of incredible folks that I've met over my career who are amazing brand leaders. And the first thing I thought was, how do I get Robbie and Kids Worldwide like on their roadmaps? What are you looking for? Obviously, we're excited that Flash Food and Kids Worldwide are going to do something super secret drop coming, but like what do you need from the community?
I mean, I'm always just looking for people, brands that enhance the overall experience. And I think when Flash Food reached out, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I think that there's a lot of synergy between obviously what the River Fund does, but then also Flash Food with food and groceries. When we were brainstorming about the workshop with Flash Food coming in and collaborating with Stop and Shop, one of the biggest things that people, especially living in poverty, face is how to eat healthy for cheap, because people always think that it's too expensive to buy healthy food. I love everything that Flash Food does. I think that you guys have a great social. I think that what you guys are doing, making groceries like affordable, is something that is, there's just a lot of synergy between what the River Fund is doing and what you guys are doing. And then obviously how Kids Worldwide can best facilitate the connection. And Louise from Flash Food, I have to shout her out because she was amazing and such a champion of Kids Worldwide and the River Fund, and brought a nutritionist from Stop and Shop that came and led a workshop on nutrition. And she was just amazing. She was so incredible. And she really just like highlighted how you can eat for cheap, even if you're getting food from the food pantry, and making sure that you're putting the right things together and like giving creative ideas. For a lot of people also living in poverty, food is like a necessity, obviously, for all of us, but it's hard to be creative. And the nutritionist, she was able to highlight how you can be creative, how you can mix different grains with different spices, different sauces. And it was just a really interactive and really beneficial workshop for honestly myself as well. And then Stop and Shop was able to give each kid a bag of groceries. So they got to go home with a bag of groceries and also had a really, really impactful educational workshop. So we're working on something that I'm like super proud of that Kids Worldwide has never done before. It's an item that we've never produced before, but we're really, really excited. Whenever we're looking at collaborators, it's like how can the collaborator enhance the experience of the kids and provide a benefit to the kids? And Flash Food was the perfect collaboration for us at that time, and we're super excited about it.
It's really cool. But we're coming to the time. The name of this podcast is The Leftovers. The leftovers are obviously seen as things that like you forget about, you chuck, but at Flash Food, we find them to be very, very beautiful. That's where all the learnings happen and all that. So in your whole career, like what's the metaphorical leftover that you've like got sitting in your like life fridge right now? Are you gonna eat it or are you gonna toss it? Like what would it be?
It's a really good question. I think something metaphorically, when I'm thinking of something that I want to get rid of, is negative self-talk.
Yeah.
That's like something that comes to mind. Like not caring as much about what other people think is just a work in progress, but something that I always keep thinking about, especially just being a woman and a mom and a business owner. I don't know if I answered that correctly.
It's a free-form metaphor, so there's no right or wrong way to answer it. But the last question, real leftovers sitting in your fridge right now. Is there a real leftover in there? And are you gonna eat it or toss it?
To be honest, I need to get way better at eating my leftovers. Right now, I have a leftover lunch that I was planning to eat for dinner a couple nights ago from Dig In that I will probably have to toss.
Yeah. Sometimes it's easy to go very hard at Dig In and like you want to fill all the quadrants and then you don't finish it. As like an ex New York City I know the Dig In, the truths of the Dig In. Well, I'm excited for what we have to come.
Yes.
It was so good to have you on today, Robbie. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was so amazing. It's like really made my day. It really was such an amazing conversation, and I'm so excited.
You should be super proud of the work, and I'm gonna blast a bunch of folks because like Kids Worldwide should be worldwide. Full.
Yeah, and seriously, if anyone you know wants to lead a workshop, if you want to lead a workshop, that's what we're all about, is engaging with other people and communities. That's how it's all happened. It's all been organic. So keep us in mind.
Will do.